Hey, it's Kika, and I'm excited to have you back. Today we're going to draw a pickup truck full of pumpkins. I'm using a screen size canvas, and to start off, let's sketch out our truck and pumpkins, map everything out, and then we will use the Inka brush. It has some real fun texture to it, so our drawing will be nice and textury and kind of cozy feeling. But to start off, grab that sketching brush, any sketching brush. I just like to use a 6B, but any of these will be perfect. Grab a dark gray, and pretty much our entire truck is squares and rectangles. So let's begin by, we want the top of the truck about here. So I'm going to draw a curved, that'll be like the top of my truck. And then I have some room for the mirrors. I want lots of space for my pumpkins. So let's draw bottom part rectangle right here. There's my rectangle. This is kind of like the top ledge of that back. So just super rough, mapping it out so I know that everything is sized correctly. Here will be the bottom bumper. So just rough rectangles. I'll have a sign here that says maybe fall time or maybe your name. I need some room. I'm gonna have to make this smaller. Grab the selection tool if you need to make it smaller. Make sure you're on freehand. Just draw around. And make sure it's uniform. I'm just ever so slightly making it a bit smaller, moving it in the middle. So I have room for my side wheels. I want like those bumpers that you have on the side for your wheel. Like so. My wheel will start here. I have very thick wheels, thick tires. Making sure both my tires are equally thick. So rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. There's going to be my sign for my name. Maybe you can say like fall times here, something like that. That's good. If you want this to be a little bit higher, like you want to stretch it out, just grab your selection brush, go around that, is the top part, and bring it up ever so slightly. You can add some length to it if you prefer. Now, for my pumpkins, I want them ginormous. I really want them to be the focus. Just abnormally big. I'm just gonna draw a few circles to represent where my pumpkin will be sitting. So like that. Smaller one maybe here. So this can be a pumpkin as well. Maybe another pumpkin right there. Actually, I'm gonna make it more ovally. An ovally pumpkin here. I want one sticking out kind of out of this truck, like so. So just drawing out half circles, ovals, and definitely one more right there. That will be a pumpkin, pumpkin, pumpkin. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 pumpkins. And you know, the vine. So now I can decide if I want this rooftop a little bit lower, a little bit wider maybe, to match this bottom. So what I'll do, I'll just select Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna draw over. I'm gonna add, I want it to be definitely wider. So I'm lining it up just a little bit in from this line. There we go. Erase that. I'll erase that. Here's my line. It's a little bit in, like so. Making sure they're about equal. And then drawing in the top. And of course there'll be a window. That will be colored in like blue. And can't forget my side mirrors. Those will be my side mirrors. Again, if you're having a hard time mapping out everything so it's a little bit equal or symmetrical, what you can do is go into the action toolbar, tap on canvas, tap on drawing guide, and automatically the checkered grid will come up. And another thing you can do is edit that drawing grid and change the size of these squares to make it a little bit easier for yourself, or just leave as is. So as you can see, I'm pretty much on par. Here's the square, here's a line. My wheels are a little bit off. This one's longer than this one, so I can bring it down. So this is a preference, this is not a must. Making sure everything's as equal. Some people prefer to have it more equal, more symmetrical. Personally, I don't, and that's okay. This wheel top is bigger than this one, so you can maybe add it like so, so it's more symmetrical. Once you're happy with how symmetrical or non-symmetrical your trick is, turn off your drawing guide. First, I'm going to put all the flat light colors on top, and then all the detail. Let's get started. We got the inking brush. I'm going to use Inka, that fun textury brush. I will start with the, I think with the oranges, with the pumpkins. So grabbing my first orange color. There you go, I like that. Brush size is about 20. Yep. And pumpkins aren't perfectly symmetrical. They have some bumps to them. Here's my first pumpkin. Because we're using screen size, we have room for many layers. If you're not sure how many layers you have, tap on your wrench icon canvas information in the canvas and tap on layers. I have 180, yours might be different, but as long as you have 20-30 layers, you can create a new layer for each pumpkin, then you can reorganize and so on and so forth. So one pumpkin, one layer. And I will now move my sketch to the top, change the color blend mode to multiply so that I can see it as I'm drawing, and bring down the opacity. Multiply, bring down opacity. And I'm continuing. I would like a darker orange for this smaller pumpkin. Really can't dark and draw. And I'm drawing past my sketch of the truck, because the truck will be on its own layer. And for example, this part will be gray. It will cover that, those pumpkins. So that's why I'm just bringing it a little bit lower so I don't have any funny gaps. I like the gray, I like that. New layer, new pumpkin. Maybe a more yellow pumpkin just for fun. A yellowy orange. I like that. And this pumpkin is behind that little one, so I'm bringing it behind, so lower layer. This pumpkin is behind that yellow one, so making sure it's on the correct layer. And I think I want more orange. Oh, that looks nice. And our fifth pumpkin right there will be behind all 5 pumpkins. The furthest back. Make sure that layer is at the very bottom. That's a little too brown. I want it darker than this one. Let's color drop that. Color pick, I should say. And then deepen it. A little too brown. That's better. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Beautiful. Got the colors for our 5 pumpkins. We'll leave it there. We'll add the texture and shading in a moment. Continuing on with the truck. New layer to the very bottom for the front part of the truck. And then we'll have a layer on the very top here because it's the foreground for the bottom part of the truck. For now, front of the truck. And you can rename these as you go. Print truck. To keep it organized. I'm going to start with blue for this window. And I would like a desaturate. I don't want a bright blue. I just want like a calm light blue right in there. Because this blue is desaturated a little bit, we can add highlights with light blue or bright blue. It'll look great. And the color of your truck, the options are endless. I will use a new layer, just so it's easier to add shading and whatnot. I don't know if I want to go purple or dark blue or green. We already got orange, so definitely not. Maybe go with like a purpley truck. Well, I kind of like that color. Yeah, like an eggplanty truck. So it's like between the blue and purple here. Maybe I'll move it. Yeah, that's better. And that's a little bit off, a little bit higher than the center. If you're trying to get a similar color as me. Outlining and coloring in. And this purple is below the window. So you don't have to worry about the blue. Nice, that's fun. I think I'll keep that gray for my side mirrors, or actually, technically it'd be blue. So purple, like gray, and then blue in the middle. Let's do the back. The new layer. Go to the, this will be the back truck. Backup truck. We can do light purple or keep it classic gray silver for the bumper, or just choose a whole nother color. I'm gonna add a new layer for the wheels. I want them behind or below the back truck. So just type in wheels. Keep that organized. And a little bit darker. A new layer for tires. Sometimes it's fun just to have a whole bunch of layers, and then it's very easy to change, move layers around, change color. If you don't have time to do thumbnails and you just want to sit down and do some art, but you're still not 100% sure what colors you want to use, this is great. Have a bunch of layers. All you have to do, alpha lock, color drop, and you've changed the color. Now I'm going to jump back to the layer of back of truck, and grab a light gray. Turn off your sketch layer every once in a while, just to check how you like. Oops. It's too curved, you gotta adjust that. Want it more squared off. And because I have this gray and purple on one layer, if my gray becomes too thick, I'm just gonna color pick and erase the gray by coloring in more purple. Turn my sketch layer back on and do this bottom. Turn off the sketch layer to see how I like it. Perfect. My sign. I'm gonna create a new layer for my sign. And grab like a yellow. Oh, too bright, too bright. Better. But more lighter, a little too bright. I like that. I want a pastel-y yellow. And I think my sign I'll just write in black. My name. And I'm gonna keep it on the same layer. You can also, of course, add a new layer. Maybe you're not sure what you want to write yet. Mine's off center, but because it's on the same layer, it'd be very hard to move over. What I need to do is actually just color over it in order to erase it. But if you had yours on a new layer, you could just tap the transform tool and slide it over. There you go. Better. Nice. And can't forget our mirrors. I want it, the layer at the very bottom. Mirror. Because it's at the very front of the car. I'm gonna grab this gray. My brush is still small. One more layer behind that mirror. Grab that same blue and color space in. Turn off your sketch at the very, very top. And that's how our truck and pumpkins are looking. Now it's all about details. I like to have my details because it's very rough looking, very textured with this brush. I'm gonna create my layers and details on the same layer. I have my pumpkin here in the front. I've turned on alpha lock. Now I'll add in the shading and highlights. Others don't prefer that because they have less ability to change. Just create a new layer, tab, clipping mask. You see that arrow, which means whatever you draw will just show up on that object. So that is preference. I already have enough layers. I don't want it to get too confusing. So I turn on alpha lock. Now I'll add in my details. First, color select that same color. Deepen it. And I'm gonna add those pumpkin grooves. Lighten it a bit so it's in between those two colors. Oops. And ooh. Don't drop your pen. I got my pen. In between, adding some darkness, some shading. Grabbing that same dark color again. Maybe fixing some of these details up. Voila. I will turn off alpha lock, grab a green. Oh, wrong green. Green can be sometimes tricky. Oh, I'm happy with that one. Just adding that top nib. Beautiful. Going into this pumpkin. I'm gonna do this the same for all of them. Grabbing that yellow, deepening it a bit, increasing my brush size. Adding some shading from the bottom. And sometimes instead of deepening it to make it go more gray, kind of mustard, to deepen a yellow, actually create it more orange. And then it will give you that deeper effect. To grab that same green, add my nib. Beautiful. Where's this one? The back over here. Actually, I'm gonna grab this orange. Because you can't see too much of it, I'm just adding a little bit of detail. Layering just a tad. Jumping over to this guy. Awful Locks turned on. Like that orange. So I want my nib to be maybe right here. So I'll start adding some details from that as my center. This guy's huge. Selecting that original color, deepening it just a tad, increasing brush size, and from the bottom, just adding a few strokes, and then grabbing that original brown. I think it's so fun just to layer. And the more layers you add, you can even use some brighter oranges. Maybe this will be the highlight. You can see that light catching our pumpkin. Super fun, super messy. Like so. Grabbing this green and that's good. Adding my nib. Oh, I forgot to turn off Awful Lock when adding the nib. There you go. In our last guy, way back there, select the color, deepen it a bit. Gonna add just a bunch of lines back and forth between the two colors. Beautiful. Grab our green, turn off Awful Lock, add the nib. There you go. Maybe, there you go. Beautiful. Love it. Jumping over to the tires. Awful Lock, select that color, deepen it, darken it, decrease your brush size, and I'm just gonna add some zigzags for the tire. For my two bumpers, they're all on one layer. Like that color, grab a lighter gray. Just on the top, adding a little bit of a line for highlight. Same with this bottom area too. Curved. The sign is on its own layer, so we'll do that after. Grabbing that original gray, but a little bit darker. Turning on Awful Lock. Actually, that won't help. It'll just help the bottom. Just deepening it. Adding a few layers, a few lines here and there, just to add some texture to it. Beautiful. Grabbing that purple, still on the same layer, deepening it. Maybe grabbing that color of purple from the tire bump. Not all the way to the edge, but just close to the edge. And right under here, it'd be a little bit darker. Increasing my brush size and just very lightly adding some. What you can do is decrease opacity. There we go. Decrease opacity. Just adding some fun texture and making the truck look a little bit older than it is. It's an old truck, old farm truck. The wheels, same idea, decreasing opacity, max brush size, grabbing that purple, maybe a little bit lighter. And let's do that to the top of our truck. Oh, forgot to change the color. Let's grab that color, deepen it a bit. You can barely see it. It's just very light. If you want it darker, of course you can just increase the color or increase the opacity. Beautiful. This looks so fun. Our mirrors and window. So let's go to the mirror. The blue. I'm going to lighten that. Bring my brush back down to about 2. And just add a few lines. So you can clearly see it is a mirror. Increase my brush size to about 4 or 5 and do the same by just to the back or window. Like so. Add a little bit of more shading to the top purple. Here we are. I'm gonna grab that color, deepen it a bit, and just around here, because you'd have shading from undo. Curve shading, curve lines. Almost like following the shape of the pumpkins. And just around the back window here. Add some shading, add some details. Nice. And last but not least, I'm going to add a background. You can also add some highlights to the top there too. Grab that original purple and make it really light. Like so. But for my background, we got purple, we got orange. We can go with the green or blues. You can also draw on a road. You prefer to draw on a road like so, and then green. Let's see what background color. kind of like this blue idea of blue. You know what? Actually, I like the idea of turquoise. Okay. I'm gonna grab this color. Okay, hit done. Turn that off for a second. Make it white again. I want my background to be textured, so I created a new layer for my background, grab that kind of turquoisey green color, increase my brush size to max. A little too light, a little darker. There you go. Just cover my background. Deepen that color. Make it a little bit more darker by the truck. You can also outline the truck with that idea too. And now I'll go back to the background. And just so where you see some spaces. There we go. Beautiful. So it's not white. I'm gonna grab even a darker and right underneath those tires. A little bit more shading. Beautiful. And there we got it. Our ginormous pumpkins in the back of a pickup. Just in time for fall. Glad you were able to join me. We used one brush for the whole project. Make sure to subscribe. Send this to a friend that you think would like this illustration as well, so you guys can both try it out together, and I'll see you in the next video.